Next question is, when you actually got to Def Jam to perform, what was that experience like? I mean, we know Def Comedy Jam and what it means and represents today, but did you feel extra amount of pressure performing at Def Comedy Jam, or was it like any other stage at that time?
Yeah, no. Good question. So as a, I I used to always share with my comedian friends that I didn't like performing locally because I felt like we were going to get played out, playing in front of the same audiences over and over. I was just like, yo, just put me on the road, take me on the road, let me perform in front of different audiences, let me shock an audience into the Derrick Fox experience. For the first time, I didn't like playing in, being from New Jersey and New York. There was only but so many clubs and so many people. You going from club to club and show to show, and you're starting to see a lot of the same faces. Especially if people like you, they're gonna start following you around at different shows. But then, you have the issue of, all right, are these people who love me going to still see me doing the same jokes that I just did? Like, they're gonna get used to your jokes. So my thing was, I didn't really like performing locally so much. And when Def Comedy Jam became a thing, Bob Sumner, who actually is from a couple of towns over in Roselle, New Jersey. I grew up in Elizabeth, and I knew Bob Sumner from actually my first time on stage at hosting a talent show at the Union County Arts Theater Center in Rahway. Um, Bob Sumner was working at Def Comedy Jam, so he became the talent coordinator for Def Comedy Jam. So they started screening comedians to appear on Def Comedy Jam, and I was already locally known and by everyone in this area. But the auditions for Def Comedy Jam were happening at the Peppermint Lounge, and I'm like, I don't want to perform at the Peppermint, man. I'm always there. Like it's like the same audience. Like it's not like they're busting in another audience. So I was like annoyed by that, or intimidated by that, I should say. And I auditioned, and I don't really think I had a really good show, um, a screening, when I auditioned for Def Comedy Jam, but I eventually booked it, and I actually taped the very first episode of Def Comedy Jam, and and I was happy once we taped in New York. The day of taping, I was ecstatic because I just knew that I had the material. I knew that, um, doing I had planned to end with the Shantae bit. I had planned to show my versatility, with acting, with doing a couple of characters and stuff like that. So I was excited for the opportunity, but then, um, in the middle of my performance, Kid Capri, who was DJing at the time, um, he kind of messed up my music, which no one really actually knows. It was actually pretty funny, for myself and for people who were very familiar with my act at the time. Um, when I went into do Shantae, Kid Capri actually messed up the music, and if you watch that video, you'll see me kind of look over at him, like trying to like say like, "Yo, what you doing?" But I was too far into character, so I had to keep going. But it was cool. It was a amazing. It was an amazing experience um, being showcased in New York, for the whole world to see. And no, we didn't get paid a lot of money, but for that actual taping. But the money came and obviously live performances and all the opportunities that came after it. So I am very grateful, for the institution that has become Def Comedy Zone.
Oh wow, wow. Thank you, thank you. I want to salute you on your performance because you had one of the most memorable and exciting and entertaining performances. I mean, people were actually jumping up out of their seats, going crazy, and you did that on Def Jam, And at that time, those were the greatest comedians in the world. So I wanted to ask you about your character, Shantae. Do you feel like that influenced Martin? That's what some people were saying in the comments as I was watching your video on YouTube.
Let me just say that Martin Lawrence remains one of my all-time favorite comedians. I've been fortunate enough to hang out with Martin, to do shows with Martin, and um, and when we were young and crazy, and we weren't married and didn't have children, and we were, bright-eyed kids with all these dreams. So yeah, I'll say that Shantae was a character that Martin um, saw and was kind of very impressed with, blown away with, whatever you want to say. And he expressed that. And he also um, talked to me about writing for his show that was going to be on Fox called Martin. And and I was, all excited. And he was saying that he wanted me to, to do Shantae on the show. But then at some point, um, before we could even get into, you know, um, negotiations and all that stuff, at some point he decided to do the character himself, and I don't fault him for that. I of course, it was a little devastating to me back then, but um, I can honestly say that I see the blessing in it too, because I didn't end up getting typecast or stuck in that character, which I probably would have if I was featured doing that character on the Martin Show.
Right, right. Big shout out to Martin. Definitely one of the goats. I think the word influence sometimes is underrated, or people may have a negative perception of it, but you actually planted a seed. Say that you were a part of that, in so many ways. But it's a good thing, you know what I'm saying? You was able to expand. What I'm trying to say is I watched your sketch comedies. You were able to do different. I seen you do the old man. I seen you do the rapper. I seen you do Shantae. You were very versatile in the different types of ways you can make people laugh. It wasn't something that was repetitive. So I want to definitely salute you